Hello, fifth grade. It is Tuesday. Forgot what day it was there for a minute. Tuesday, the 28th of April, and this is our science time. We're in Comp Check 7.4 on page 188. We're going to read together pages 188 to 191, and we're going to discuss the planets. So excited about that. That's a fun unit. And so I want to look really quickly at your Comp Check first to highlight, to tell you what we're going to highlight in this section. It says, number 1, identify each planet by its description. A, the brightest planet in the sky that is surrounded by highly reflective clouds composed of sulfuric acid. B, has 7 rings or bands made up of, ring bands, I should say, made up of ice particles and rocks. C, the planet closest to the sun and only slightly larger than our moon. D, the first planet discovered in modern times and is tipped over on its side. E, the only planet suitable for living things which has a bountiful supply of water. F, the largest planet. G, the planet that appears royal blue and has a moon named Triton. H, called the red planet. So you're going to identify which planet that describes. And number 2, name the twin planets. And number 3, which planet has a moon larger than Mercury? Number 4, name the planet where the Viking spacecraft landed. Number 5, which planet has huge, powerful thunderstorms and the Great Red Spot? Number 6, list the 8 planets in order from the sun out. Okay, so from the closest to the sun out. Okay, in order, obviously. And make sure that you do these. I need complete sentences. You have your template. Follow your template. Don't get lazy. We need to finish strong. Be thorough. Okay? All right, so let's start reading. The 8 planets, page 188. Among the most spectacular objects in the heavens are the planets. Most shine more brightly than the stars. The planets, however, are not luminous. Like the moon, they reflect the rays of the sun. The 4 small planets closest to the sun are Mercury, Venus, Earth, and Mars. They are called the inner planets. Scientists believe that all of them are made mainly of rocks and metals. Earth is the only one with a liquid mantle surrounding its core. Now, Earth is a planet that God made suitable for life. Okay, so that's why it's different. The outer planets are Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, and Neptune, or Uranus. I've heard it pronounced both ways. I'll pronounce it Uranus, and Neptune. These planets are much larger than the 4 inner planets. And instead of being made out of solids like the inner planets, the outer planets are composed mainly of liquids and gases. In the past, very little could be known about these 4 planets because of their great distance from Earth. But since 1972, the United States has launched Pioneers 10 and 11, Voyagers 1 and 2, Galileo, and Cassini, unmanned spacecraft designed to send back information about the outer planets. From these probes, we have learned and continue to learn many new things about the most distant members of the solar system. So scientists have figured out ways, it says since 1972, since I was your age, since I was 10, to be able to send unmanned spacecraft and that are designed to send us back information so that we can see what we can see, know what we can know about those planets that are farthest from the sun. The inner planets. Mercury is the closest planet to the sun. It orbits the sun very quickly, taking only about 88 Earth days to continue one full rotation. Not much larger than our moon, Mercury is covered with craters and has no water or air. Because Mercury has no atmosphere to hold in the sun's heat, temperature differences on Mercury are very great. While the sun bakes one side of the planet at daytime temperatures up to 797 degrees Fahrenheit, the other side of the planet passes through a frozen night in which temperatures plunge to negative 275 degrees Fahrenheit. So Mercury, the closest planet to the sun, huge temperature changes depending on the side that the sun is blazing down on. Venus. Venus, which is the brightest planet in the sky, shines with a steady silvery glow. God must have intended Venus to be an especially brilliant light in the heavens, for he wrapped the planet in a blanket of unique clouds, almost like a mirror. These clouds reflect over 3/4 of the sunlight that falls upon them. Because Earth and Venus are neighbors in the planetary system, and because they are of about the same size, they are sometimes called twin planets. Now, I know we had that as a question. In the past, astronomers often wondered about what lay below the thick clouds of Venus. They imagined a world similar to ours, where exotic plants and other forms of alien life flourished. But now we know that it would be impossible for living things to survive on Venus. The miles-thick clouds, once thought to be composed of water vapor, are actually formed from sulfuric acid. That was also one of our definitions for a planet in our ComCheck. A heavy atmosphere of carbon dioxide bears down on the surface with a pressure of the air on Earth. The clouds and atmosphere trap the rays of the sun and produce temperatures of about 850 degrees Fahrenheit at the surface. The planet has no water. Is Venus really much of a twin to Earth? No. Okay, so think about that. Sulfuric acid is what's in the atmosphere. So what they thought that it might be like Earth with life, plant life, exotic life, beautiful colors, etc., is actually the complete opposite. No water, no life from what we can see, and from what we can know, heavy acid, a lot of pressure. It says carbon dioxide bears down 90 times greater pressure than the Earth. So it's not like us at all. But because it's about the same size, what is one of the reasons they call it the twin. Earth. Viewed from space, Earth looks like a huge blue sapphire suspended in the heavens. The sphere of such inviting beauty is the only planet in the solar system that is suitable for life. Okay? Now, don't ever get, we have alien movies and Martians and what have you. Those are just for fun. Don't ever get confused, because God made it very clear that he put man made in his own image on the earth that he created. Okay? He talked very specifically about the earth is where he created the life and the animals, etc. Okay? So, if God made it the only planet suitable for life, then that's the only planet suitable for life. And that's the only planet you're going to find life, because it's the only planet suitable for life, okay? And so when you look at the picture, it really is from the other planets where we've seen Mercury and Venus and stuff. Earth is just stunning, stunningly beautiful. Looks completely different than any of the other planets. God positioned Earth just the right distance from the sun, 93 million miles, to make certain that the temperatures on Earth could be tolerated by living things. In Earth's atmosphere, he included the oxygen needed to sustain life. We need oxygen to breathe. He also blessed Earth with a bountiful supply of water. As we study all the various planets of the solar system, we can certainly gain a greater appreciation for Earth, the comfortable and hospitable planet God created to be our home. Okay, incredible things. Oxygen, air, water, everything we need for life. With great purpose and great intent, he created the Earth. Mars. On many evenings, a viewer from Earth can see Mars, the red planet, glowing with a strong reddish light. I'm sorry, I thought there were two words. It's hyphenated. The red planet glowing with a strong reddish light. Mars is about half the size of Earth, and it has two small, lumpy-looking moons. Like Venus, Mars is a planet on which scientists hope to discover signs of life. In 1976, the unmanned spacecrafts Viking 1 and Viking 2 landed on Mars and began taking photographs. These two craft and other orbiting space, let's turn the page, space probes have shown conditions on Mars to be rather unfavorable to life. Rocky, windswept deserts of reddish sand, along with deep canyons, large craters, and towering volcanoes, cover the surface of the planet. The atmosphere, mainly carbon dioxide, is very thin. Temperatures on Mars range from about negative 225 degrees Fahrenheit to 60 degrees Fahrenheit. No life in any form has ever been discovered. So Mars is known as the red planet, and it is not suitable for life. No planet is except for Earth. So the inner planets, these are the planets closer to the sun, are Mercury, Venus, Earth, and Mars. And you can see those here on the bottom of page 188, where here's the sun. Remember, you're going to have a question where you need to list them from closest to the sun to farthest away. Those are called the inner planets, the planets closer to the sun. Now we're going to talk about the outer planets. On page 190, it says Jupiter. Giant Jupiter, the largest planet in our solar system, is large enough to swallow 1,300 planets the size of Earth. Jupiter is clearly visible from Earth with the unaided eye, meaning you don't need a telescope. It is the most colorful planet in the solar system. Its atmosphere swirls with red, cream, orange, and brown clouds. Swift wind currents whip these colorful clouds into bands, eddies, and swirls. Spiraling in the midst of Jupiter's clouds is a great red spot, a rotating storm very similar to a hurricane, except much more enormous, with a diameter nearly 3 times greater than the diameter of Earth. Huge thunderstorms send forth lightning bolts with power 10,000 times that of lightning on Earth. Although the temperature above the clouds is negative 250 degrees Fahrenheit, beneath them at the planet's core, the temperature is a scorching 50,000 degrees Fahrenheit. In 1979, the Voyager 2 spacecraft allowed scientists to discover for the first time that Jupiter is circled by a system of very thin rings. At least 60 moons also orbit the planet. So Jupiter, the largest planet, 1,300 Earths could fit in Jupiter. And it's basically, it's got this great red spot, which are intense hurricane-like storms. The temperatures are hugely different from negative, what did it say, 275, I think, 250 to 50,000 degrees Fahrenheit. It is the largest planet in our solar system. Then there's Saturn. Saturn is the second largest planet. Like Jupiter, it is a hot, gaseous globe wrapped in layers of heavy clouds. 7 bands of rings surround Saturn at its equator, right in the middle of it, right around, and you can see the picture. Each ring band is made up of thousands of tiny ringlets formed from small pieces of orbiting ice and rock. Saturn also has at least 60 moons. One moon, Titan, is larger than Mercury and has its own atmosphere. So Saturn, the second largest planet, it has a lot of the same atmosphere as Jupiter. It's got 7 bands of rings surrounding the equator, and it's got one moon, Titan, is larger than Mercury. It has 60 moons around it, but one moon, Titan, is larger than Mercury and has its own atmosphere. Uranus. On March 13th, 1781, Sir William Herschel, a great English astronomer, became the first man in modern times to discover a new planet when he discovered Uranus. 4 times the size of the Earth, Uranus is the 3rd largest planet in our solar system. Since the sun's rays must travel 1,784 million miles to reach Uranus, the planet is very cold, about negative 350 degrees Fahrenheit. Scientists believe that Uranus' cold, dense atmospheric gases, thousands of miles deep, conceal perhaps an ocean of liquid water covering a solid core the size of Earth. One unusual thing about Uranus is that it is tipped over on its side. So you can see, look where its bands are. It's tipped over on its side. Let's see, where am I? With its poles pointing directly toward and away from the sun during the summer and winter seasons. 27 moons and 13 dark rings orbit Uranus. Okay, so what did I want to? It's the 3rd largest. I wanted to tell you that. It's very cold, negative 250 degrees Fahrenheit. It's got atmospheric gases that are thousands of miles deep, but they said thousands of miles deep perhaps conceals an ocean of liquid water covering a solid core the size of Earth. So it could have some liquid water there. Look what it says, perhaps, because we're not sure, okay? And its poles pointing directly toward and away from the sun during the summer and winter seasons. It's got 27 moons and 13 dark rings orbit Uranus. Neptune. Neptune, far off in the distant reaches of the solar system. Neptune journeys in a lonely path around the sun, taking 165 Earth years to complete a single rotation in its orbit because it's so far away from it, right? It's the farthest planet from the sun. Because it is so far from the sun, over 2,790 million miles, 2,790 million miles from the sun, Neptune was not discovered by astronomers until 1865. Scientists believe that, like Uranus, Neptune consists largely of liquid water, comprising a vast ocean thousands of miles deep. Neptune has a seemingly peaceful royal blue atmosphere. Despite its appearance, however, it is really a pretty color. Despite its appearance, however, Neptune has the strongest winds measured anywhere in the solar system. Driven by the wind, the clouds on Neptune's surface scurry around the planet at several hundred miles an hour. That would pick us up and carry us, I don't even want to think about it. An Earth-sized storm called the Great Dark Spot spun its way through the planet's atmosphere until 1994 when it completely dissipated. 13 moons and 5 rings circle around Neptune. One of Neptune's largest moons, Triton, has its own magnetic field and a very thin atmosphere. Triton's temperature is the coldest so far measured anywhere in the solar system at negative 390 degrees Fahrenheit. Geysers on Triton's surface spout liquid nitrogen as much as 5 miles into the atmosphere. Okay? I mean, that's tall. 5 miles into the atmosphere. So Neptune, it's really pretty. They believe it's mostly water. They believe, they don't know. Vast oceans, thousands of miles deep. It seems peaceful looking, but it's got the strongest winds measured anywhere in the solar system at 100 miles per hour. We read about, several hundred miles an hour. Several hundred miles an hour. That's more than one. That's 3 or 4. It's got an Earth-sized storm, so a storm that is the size of our planet. That's huge. That is called the Great Dark Spot. Spun its way through the planet's atmosphere until 1994 when it completely dissipated. That means it dissipated would mean like to fizzle out. Basically, it's got 13 moons and 5 rings. Triton, one of its largest moons, has its own magnetic field, a very thin atmosphere. It's the coldest so far measured, that moon, negative 390 degrees Fahrenheit. And geysers on Triton's surface on that moon shoot 5 miles in the air. 5 miles. So just think about that. If what a mile is, 5,280 feet? Multiply that times 5, and that's how high it goes in the air. Okay, just 1 mile over 5,000 feet into the air, and then multiply that by 5. That's really amazing to think about what that must be like. So you identify the planets. Again, I'll go through the comp check with you. A, the brightest planet in the sky that is surrounded by highly reflective clouds composed of sulfuric acid. Which planet is that? B, which planet has 7 ring bands made up of ice particles and rocks? C, which planet is closest to the sun and only slightly larger than our moon? D, the first planet discovered in modern times and it's tipped over on its side. E, the only planet suitable for living things which has a bountiful supply of water. F, the largest planet. G, the planet that appears royal blue and has a moon named Triton. H, called the red planet. Number 2, name the twin planets. Number 3, which planet has a moon larger than Mercury? Number 4, name the planet where the Viking spacecraft landed. Number 5, which planet has huge, powerful thunderstorms and the great red spot? And 6, list the 8 planets in order from the sun out. So this comp check is worth 21 points. So do a good job on it. It's really interesting, fun to think about what's out there. And then tomorrow we're going to talk about air, and we know how vital that is. All right? So do a good job.